Hi, I'm Robin Bensley. I absolutely love lobster, but I'm very curious, how exactly does that beautiful orange delicacy get to my dinner plate? Who better to ask than a New England lobsterman?
How are you?
Good. Now, we're sitting on your lobster boat, which is called the Jeanette T, and it's about 40 feet.
40 foot, named after my mom.
Oh, very nice. And that's the average size of a lobster
About
boat.
typical size, yep.
And how did you get into lobstering?
I've always enjoyed being outside, and as a kid, spent a lot of time recreationally fishing. My father's from the Midwest. When I got older, I worked in a factory, worked in a laboratory for a while, and could see the boats coming in and out every day, and it was killing me. So I decided I was going to quit my job and become a fisherman. And
your parents were totally supportive of that decision.
No, my parents weren't too pleased at all, but it turned out to be the right decision for me, and we've been working out in London for 22 years now.
Wow. Yeah, I have to ask you, is there such thing as a lobster farm? I mean, are lobster farmed at all?
Lobsters are all wild caught. Our American lobster are all wild caught, harvested by lobstermen such as myself. A few are harvested by draggers or scallopers, but for the most part, they're caught in lobster pots like these.
And why aren't they farmed? Like so many other, like there's shrimp farms.
Sure.
And
they're slow growing. The average lobster takes 6 or 7 years to be legal size. And also they're very cannibalistic. So you could raise them only under very controlled conditions, which are cost prohibitive.
Cannibalistic, huh? So even lobster likes lobster.
That's right. Everything likes to eat lobster.
Now, how many lobster pots do you have in the water?
We fish over 1,000 traps right now.
When you put a trap in the water, how soon do you pull it up?
That's a great question. This time of year, when the water's warm, we can haul in 4 or 5 nights set. In other words, we'll set a trap on Monday, and we won't get back to that trap until Friday set, 4 nights. In the wintertime, once the water cools down, we might be working on 7 nights set. Where we'd haul something on Monday, we wouldn't haul it again until the following Monday.
So you work all year round?
Year round. You picked a great day to go out. I mean, it's sunny, it's pleasant, it's,
It's perfect.
You come down in February and take the same ride, and you might not have the smile on your face.
There's a reason I'm not here in February. Baited mostly with skate and bumper fish for the lobster, but also they like to gather snails, and so those are baited with crabs. Here's how it works. The boat has stopped because a buoy has popped up, and each lobsterman has his own color buoy, so they know. And then the craziness begins. It's a flurry of activity as about 12 to 15 lobster traps come up. They're emptied and refilled, popped back in, lobsters counted and measured, and fish saved or thrown back. Crabs, snails, they get all kinds of things here too. Now the reason everyone works so quickly is because there's a limited time that they can pull the pots up, and it's all based on the tides. But it's about to begin. Here comes the first crab. and every lobster has to be measured, and they're thrown back because of size. Females or eggers, especially the ones with eggs, those are thrown back. So the rules are very strict. There were a bunch of other things in those lobster traps. Like I noticed a lot of starfish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, about everything will eat lobster. So we'll catch starfish in there. We get the snails, the winkles in the traps, as well as a variety of fish.
How exactly has the lobster business changed?
We've endured a whole host of regulations. Management regulations that have inhibited our ability not only to harvest lobsters, but it's affected the consumer as well. What's happened is the regulators have continued to go up on the gauge sizes, which for us means that there's fewer lobsters for us to catch. It's kind of a shame. We had a much stronger industry and fishery and resource back when the gauge was smaller.
Depending on the time of year that you catch the lobster, is there a difference in the taste?
I believe there is.
Yeah?
The meat in the wintertime, I think, is firmer, and that's when I don't eat a lot of lobster, but when I do, it's in the wintertime.
Well, you have to give me some tips on cooking lobster.
Well, I'm no expert.
Oh, yes, you are.
But there's nothing better than a traditional steamed lobster. The trick is to use seawater. If you can use seawater instead of tap water, it won't draw any of the flavor out of the lobster. They'll be much better. But there's a lot of good lobster recipes. You know, anytime you cook lobster meat, you can always add a little sherry to it, and that also complements the flavor.
Well, I thought I'd share one of my favorite lobster recipes with you.
Sure.
I believe in keeping it simple, steaming it, not boiling it, steaming it. Because it absorbs less water. And the butter, the melted butter that you dip in it, put a little saffron in it, some saffron threads in the hot butter, and squeeze some lime juice in there. And that, to me, is heaven.
Yeah, there's nothing better than a traditional steamed lobster. The whole thing, the bib, the crackers, you make a whole process out of it. That's great.
Mike, I want to thank you so much for having us on board the Jeanette T.
Sure, I hope you enjoyed yourself.
I learned so much.
It's interesting.
And I will pay full price for a lobster from now on.
Well, that's great. Glad to hear you enjoyed it.